welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. Now, Nigeria's electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, is in a race against time to distribute over 20 million voters' cards to eligible voters before elections. That's presidential elections now scheduled for the 14th of February. It's a tough call for INEC, and a lot of people have been complaining that they've not been able to get their voters' cards. That's the permanent voters' cards now. Now, without the voters' card, there's no way an eligible voter would be allowed to vote. And we have over 20 million cards yet to be distributed by INEC, and then elections scheduled to begin in just a few days from now. And so people are saying it's difficult to see how INEC would be able to distribute all these cards before election day. And as a matter of fact, INEC has fixed the 8th of February as the deadline for the distribution of the cards. And so some people are saying, well, it's difficult to see how INEC is going to achieve these. And for that reason, some people are actually calling for the postponement of the election. We still do not know if INEC is going to postpone the election, but I'm now being joined on the program by the spokesperson to the INEC chairman, Mr. Kayode Idowu. Mr. Kayode Idowu, thank you very much for joining us on the program. You have over 20 million voters, permanent voters' cards now to be distributed between now and the 8th of February, which is the deadline for the distribution of those cards. Do you think it's possible that you'd be able to distribute those cards? Because going by your figures yesterday, you actually said 45 million, over 45 million have been distributed. Now we have 68 million plus registered voters. Would it be possible to achieve 68 million by February 8th?
Thank you, Deji, for that question. It is a moot point. How many cards will be distributed before election day? What the commission is doing is to make the cards available and hope that everybody who is willing to get his or her card and to participate in the 2015 elections will come forward and pick those cards. Because let me make clear that we should be under no illusion that the cards will be collected 100%. That is absolutely unrealistic, and it is unrealistic for obvious reasons. Registration was done in 2011, and we printed these cards, and we are not doing proxy collection. And because we are not doing proxy collection, people who are passed on, their cards have been printed, and nobody will be picking those cards. People who registered and have traveled out of the country, their cards will be waiting. Nobody will collect those cards. They can always collect it any other time. Same with people who registered, but who really are not keen in participating in the elections and who are not intending to join the queue for collecting voter cards. This set of people are there. The cards will be there. They will not be collected. And so really, it is not feasible or realistic to say, will you be able to distribute all the 68.8 million cards? It's not a reality. But the point is that the commission is making the cards available such that as many people as are available and willing to collect their cards, we have those cards to collect.
Now, is the commission considering postponing this election if, for instance, a significant number of people do not collect the cards before the 8th of February? Would you be considering postponing the elections? Because we're seeing calls now from various quarters. We understand 16 political parties have actually signed a letter and sent to the commission saying the election should be postponed.
Yeah, you see, INEC has not been a part of that conversation because the commission has remained focused on making ready for the timelines that have been set. Notice of election was issued since last year. As we speak, at this moment, That notice of election has neither been withdrawn nor amended, which means the commission is working to implement that timelines. And so it's not been a conversation that the commission has partaken in. So as we speak, we are working on the timelines that have been announced in the public since last year, and that's the position of the commission as of now.
Under what circumstance would the commission consider postponing this election?
It will be difficult to go into that conversation, DEJI, because it has not even come up before the commission. I mean, come up in the sense of tabling it for discussion. That discussion has not been initiated in the commission, and so we can't get into issues that are not, as it were, before the commission yet.
But just how prepared is the commission for the election? If, for instance, the presidential election were to hold February 14th, as announced by your commission, of course, how prepared are you for February 14th, if the elections were to go ahead?
Yeah, the commission is doing everything that it needs to do to make sure that we are ready, we are up to speed for that election. Let me tell you, you just said it, we've distributed about 45 million cards. That was as at Monday. Distribution continues since then, and I can tell you that as we speak now, the figures will be much different.
Most definitely.
Sorry?
I said most definitely. The figure will be different now.
Sure. Because, again, because of the surge, you can expect a spike. It's also a cultural thing that typically things happen at the tail end of things in our client. And so you should expect a spike in the number of collection. Now, the training, the commission started the cascade training some time back, and that training will get to the level of the actual polling unit staff this weekend. And so they will do that training starting from this weekend into early next week. We have been deploying the materials, election materials, and we have been receiving some of the sensitive materials, including the ballot papers. We have received some of the ballot papers. So this is when I say we have received, not in INEC offices. We never take them in INEC offices. When they come, they go straight to the central bank vaults, from where they will be brought out midweek before election in the presence of party agents and observers. So when I say we've taken delivery, I don't mean as it were that they are in INEC offices. I need to clear that. So these things have been done, and these are the things you need to do for elections. So the commission is working hard, is sparing no effort to make sure that we are good to go.
One of your national commissioners, a top official of INEC, was reported to have said there's a possibility that the date, that's the February 8th deadline for the collection of the cards, may be extended if INEC eventually discovers that not quite a number of people have been able to collect their cards now before that before February 8th. Is it something you're considering?
Yeah, that was well reported, because that was the point the commissioner made, that yes, the possibility of granting isolated extensions for places where there is discernibly low level of collection of the PVCs has not been foreclosed by the commission. She made the point, though, that if you look at now we are talking about 65.5 as at Monday. She said if you look at the history of voter turnout in Nigeria, that actually rates highly anyway, because I can't remember when last we have 60% turnout.
That's quite true.
Sure. So she said that rates highly. But even with that, the commission has not foreclosed completely the possibility that in certain areas where you have very, visibly low level of collection, the commission can grant a day or two more of extension. That was what she said.
Let me ask you this question now. It's a concern out there in the public. How difficult do you think it will be, and is INEC actually prepared to conduct elections in the Northeast? Because we've had calls, for instance, in some quarters, that elections in the three northeastern states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa should be postponed.
Yes, again, you see, some of these things, well, thank God Nigeria is a democracy, and all manners of opinions are there in the marketplace. That's a feature of democracy. The commission, what the commission has been doing is to draw up a program of how the IDPs will vote, along with every other voter in the Nigerian Federation on the days that have been appointed for the elections. And that was why, in consultation with the stakeholders, the commission has drawn up a plan whereby in areas where you cannot access the constituency, because, the Nigerian legal framework provides for constituency voting. You register in a place, and in that place where you register, you have to go there, present your card to vote there. Now, stretching the provisions of the law to its elastic limit, what the commission has done is to say where you can't absolutely access the physical and geographical location of the constituency, say because it is also under insurgent, the commission will create voting centers in the name of those constituencies in safe areas. That is to say, if you have local government A under a security challenge or possibly under insurgent control, and thereby that local government can't be accessed, you can create a voting center in the name of that local government in a safe area, and ask everybody who registered in that local government to come to that voting center and cast their ballots there. And that ballot will be collated and counted for the local government that you have that challenge. That is a way that the commission has proposed to deal with that.
I see. So basically, you're not considering postponing elections in the three northeastern states where Boko Haram is currently carrying out its insurgency.
That has never been a consideration before the commission. Yes, of course, security. This commission is not an election. Is not a security agency. It's an election management body, and so what it will do will have to be in collaboration and consultation with security agencies. But as far as election management and planning for conduct of election is concerned, that is what the commission has in view.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Idowu, for talking to us on the program, and thank you very much for your thoughts there.
Thank you so much, Deji, for having me.
Well, we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion on the Nigeria 2015 elections. Don't go away. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. All right, welcome back. We're still talking Nigeria's election, and of course the campaign is intensifying. The candidates are going around the country trying to woo voters. Of course, the two front runners, Muhammadu Buhari and President Goodluck Jonathan, slogging it out for votes out there, trying to convince people. Well, as we said, we still do not know if the election will be postponed, and of course you just heard the spokesperson to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission actually making it clear there that INEC is still sticking with its timeline. And so it means we should expect that presidential election will take place in a few days from now. That's on the 14th of February. But of course, there's still that problem with the voters' cards, as a permanent voters' card. Quite a number of people have not been able to collect their voters' cards. We just wait and see if the number will go up before February 8th, which is the deadline. And of course, INEC has come out to say it is likely that after February 8th, which is the deadline for the collection of the cards, if it does not have a significant number of people collecting their cards, it might decide to extend the deadline by probably 2 days so that more people can actually collect their cards. But the fact is that it's on record that Nigeria has never achieved actually 70% voter turnout on election day. So even if at all the 68 million registered voters we have in the country collect their cards, there's no likelihood that all 68 million people would come out on election day to cast their votes. I'm now being joined on the program by a member of the Buhari Support Organization in the diaspora. He's based in the United Kingdom, Tony Akabogo, who is joining us now to shed some light on what is actually happening in the United Kingdom, especially as this election goes. Tony, thank you very much for joining us on the program. You have been following developments in Nigeria. You've been following the campaign trail. What's your take?
Thank you very much for having me on this program. I think it is quite clear what is happening. Jonathan is campaigning strongly. Buhari is campaigning strongly as well. But the difference is clear. Everybody that is watching the campaign will tell you that the momentum is on Buhari's side. And be that as it may, I think that it is very important that Nigeria understands where we are headed. And to be thinking of postponing this election at this point in time, at this time in it, will be regrettable.
Well, Tony, 16 political parties have actually signed up for the postponement of this election. 16 political parties, 4 presidential candidates. Do not forget there are actually 14 presidential candidates in this election. Of course, we're just talking about 2. So we have 4 presidential candidates now saying the election should be postponed. 16 political parties coming out to say the election should be postponed, of course, because quite a number of people have not been able to collect their cards. Over 20 million people, actually.
Well, I do understand that, but if people do understand the dynamics of the Nigerian politics, you'll quite agree that most of those political parties are basically, mushroom parties, if I may choose to use that word, because most of these parties, don't forget, some of them are set up by some of people in government in order to scuttle whatever the oppositions are doing. So to suggest that maybe 14 or 16 or 10 are maybe signing a document, not a new thing. We have seen this over and over and over again in Nigeria. So the key thing and the question will be, what political relevance does this so-called political parties have? The interest has always been on PDP and APC. So anybody can sign a document stating that they are insisting that the election be postponed or should I say whatever. But the fact of the matter is that there should be change in the country. We should not be distracted by the fact that some people are signing for the election to be postponed. INEC must be allowed to conduct the election. So I should think that the emphasis which Mr. President laid out when the Secretary of State of the United States of America came to Nigeria was very clear. that the election will commence, and we'll have that election on the 14th. I don't understand why, at this point in time, that people are trying to distract what is about to take shape in the country. I think, and I duly feel that it is a bit of distraction.
Well, you're quite right. I mean, talking about John Kerry there, that's the U.S. Secretary of State. He was actually in the country a few days or just about a week ago or so, and he actually made it clear that the position of the United States is that the election must hold on schedule and on time. Well, we'll just wait and see what actually happens. But let me ask you, Tony, how then do you think INEC should address this problem of, this significant number of people who are yet to collect their cards? Because it's been said that these people will be disenfranchised.
Thank you for that question. My understanding is that INEC actually received their funding, I think, a few weeks ago, if I am correct. So if that is true, that they actually received their funding a few weeks ago, it will be impossible for them to actually do all the things that they intended to do. However, the fact of the matter still remains that the election has to hold. Those that will be disenfranchised. My suggestion will be, I think INEC was talking about having to use their
temporary voters card.
Temporary voters card. So I think there is a calculative move here by the government to actually derail what is about to take place. And my advice to Nigerians is to simply not sit down, because we have always known that Nigerians do sit down and do nothing. The only way to defeat what is about to take shape in Nigeria is pure piling of pressure. We need to pile pressure on the government to live up to the expectations and allow the elections to take place. The whole world is watching on Nigeria. We are being watched. They want to find out what is about to take shape. We are not going to go back to the same June 12th that derailed Nigeria, that saw us to what we are today. I think that it is very important that President Goodluck Jonathan live up to expectation and allow this election to take place. Thank you.
Now, let me ask you about your candidates. I'm talking about the candidate now that you support, General Muhammadu Buhari. What's your take on the decision of Buhari and the APC to boycott presidential debates with the president? Because some people have said, basically, what this means is that General Buhari probably hasn't got much to say, and so he's basically dodging.
There is no law, thank you for that question. There is no law that says that you must attend a presidential debate. There is no law that says that. It is up to you to decide. In the UK here, the last election, David Cameron at some point said that he's not going to partake in any debate. However, I will not be part of the team that will be suggesting that Buhari does not take up that challenge. In order for him to cement his grip on the popularity and the momentum, I will suggest that he faces Jonathan, but on a caveat. It has to be an independent body, not some NTA or some AIT or some other TV stations being sponsored by government in order to discredit the personality of General Muhammadu Buhari. I think that it is important that he faces Jonathan, but it has to be an independent body, that everybody has to agree that this independent body will have to sit and do this debate. Other than that, if what we saw in 2011 will be precedent, then obviously I will suggest that he doesn't take up that challenge, because you quite agree with me that in 2011, Jonathan actually debated himself. So if he debated himself in 2011, obviously we know exactly why he did not choose to come on board, because he was not prepared. He was not. He doesn't have anything to offer, and he was obviously told to not come on board to debate other contestants. and he chose to debate himself. Debate himself. So my problem is this. Having spent 6 years in government, he has obviously mastered the craft of debating. Now they want to force it on General Muhammadu Buhari to come and debate. Of course, he can and he will, but it has to be an independent body, agreed by the two parties, not some AIT or some NTA trying to set him up. We are not going to support that. And that's the position of those of us in the diaspora.
One other big issue against your candidate, of course, is his age. That at the age of 73, he probably may not be able to deal with the huge challenge of governing this country. Because, of course, Nigeria is facing a very tough time, and that you need probably a younger person to deal with these issues.
I quite agree that we need a younger person to deal with this issue, but we've tried a number of, we did a bit of test run in 2011. I was one of the few that made it clear that I'm not going to be part of supporting Jonathan with obvious reasons, because I felt that he wasn't competent enough, doesn't have the political clout, doesn't have the wherewithal, the personality, the presence to run a very huge country as diverse as Nigeria. In 2010, he made it clear to then U.S. ambassador that he doesn't have the administrative experience to run Nigeria. Moving forward, what the country needs is a true tested person, regardless of age. Leadership is not about age. Leadership is about showing example and making sure that you have competent technocrats around you, and they see the vision that you have and they run with it. Recently, just about a month ago, Tunisia elected their president. He's 88 years old. You can go around and check most of the countries. Leadership is not about age. We have to just move away from this talk about, we need a younger person. We've tested a couple of younger people in the very lower posts, and we saw what they did. So I think that we have to move away, shy away from all these sentiments that keep derailing the country. The stench that Jonathan.
Go ahead, I'm listening to you.
Yeah, the stench that Goodluck Jonathan has actually cost Nigeria in just 6 years. I'm not too sure that even Buhari or even any younger leader can clear that mess in 6 years. The guy has run the country aground. We are so much terribly in debt. How can you run a country on a mobile phone? You cannot run any country on a mobile phone. And you cannot be running a country on a budget where 75 or 80% of the budget, 80% of the budget is on recurring expenditure. And you're running the country on that with 20%. You cannot do that. We need a leader that will come in and now cut deep into the expenses of the way they run, the way we run the country.
And let me just tell you, Tony, because I think things are just about to get worse, because we understand that the 2015 budget, the capital expenditure for the 2015 budget has further been cut down as a result of the drop in global oil prices. We understand, as a matter of fact, that the 2015 budget capital expenditure will be just about 8-point-something%. So basically, I really wonder how we're going to deal with that.
That's the travesty of what we face today. And what ticks me off is that our people do not seem to be looking into the issues. They are so sentimental about, the person that is leading the country. You have to look at the issues. When Goodluck Jonathan came in, we had so much money that President Obasanjo left. Where is the money? Where is that money? Now the country is seriously in debt, and we have been in debt since 2010. And I made it clear that this cannot continue to happen. Okay? You continue every single month, every single year, borrowing the country to abyss. Okay, you have so many presidential jets, and the country has got none. And our people are not looking at those things. In the 2015 budget, my understanding is that they are spending 4 billion naira for food. So what are they eating? These are people that we are elected to serve the country. Is that a way for you to run a country? Of course not.
Let me just pause you there, and one more issue before we go. You look at the campaign trail. Quite controversial comments have actually been coming out of the campaign trail, inciting statements from both sides. But there's just one I want to play, and this happened not quite long ago. This came from the vice president of the country. He was actually in Mina, where the PDP presidential campaign train actually went to rally the people there. And the vice president basically speaking in Hausa and whipping up what some people have described as religious sentiments. Let's just take a listen to him. When we come back, we'll give the translation and then we'll talk about that.
Wanda ake yi yanzu, saboda haka muna godiya kwarai da gaske. A nan ina so in jawo hankalinmu ga yadda mutane suke kawo addini cikin siyasa. A PDP, idan aka duba, za a ga cewa ciyaman ɗinmu na PDP musulmi ne. Haka kuma, Director General na campaign ɗinmu musulmi ne. Haka kuma ni kaina na Madina Sambo musulmi ne nima. Ba presidential candidate ɗinmu ne Krista kawai. Amma a APC, chairman party na APC Krista ne. Haka kuma Director General na campaign ɗinsu Krista ne. Haka kuma Vice President ɗinsu Pastor ne. Saboda haka wace party ce ta fi musulmai a cikinsu? To kada ku yarda.
Well, let me basically give a translation to translate what the vice president was actually saying there. Quite controversial if you ask me. Well, basically he started by saying, look, I want to draw your attention to the issue of religion that is being brought into this campaign now. That, look, take a look at the PDP. The chairman of the PDP is a Muslim. Myself, the vice president, I'm a Muslim. You have so many Muslim men occupying positions, sensitive positions in the PDP. And then he laid emphasis on his name. He actually pronounced his name now fully, Namadina, that he is a Muslim, that the only Christian among them is President Goodluck Jonathan, who is a Christian. And then he said, then take a look at the APC. The APC, the chairman is a Christian. The person who leads, the director of the campaign organization is a Christian, that the vice presidential candidate is a pastor, that so that it's just clear that it's the PDP that really loves Muslim. Let me get your reaction to that, Tony.
First of all, it is regrettable that a man that we pay salary every month, who is the vice president of the country, will utter that those inciting comments on the campaign trail. But first of all, I need to correct one issue. Looking at all the campaign rallies that General has conducted so far, I have not seen him personally, or for what I have seen, that he has chosen to be talking about religion or Christianity in the course of their campaign. I've not seen that yet. Moving forward, I think that Nigerians need to know this. They need to see this. It is not new. My understanding is that President Goodluck Jonathan is doing the same thing in the South, all right? Telling the South that APC is a Muslim party, that PDP is a widespread party that has their interest at heart. his VP is going to the north and doing the same thing, playing on the intelligence and the psychology of our people. You and I know that he is talking to the northern youths, okay, who are simply a cocktail of violence. Cocktail of violence. We understand and know exactly what happened in 2011. And coming from my part in Nigeria, which obviously our people are based in the north, more or less, I am very, 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 very ticked off to the fact that a VP, vice president of the country, will stand on the podium and be saying what he said on the campaign trail. It is very regrettable. I will expect Nigeria, I will expect President Goodluck Jonathan to repudiate what his VP has said, and it does not stop there. We are collecting evidences, and when the time comes, and if anything were to happen in the course of this election, violence or so to say, we know exactly who to hold responsible. This time around, they will not get away with this, because far from 2011 to date, they've always made it clear that General Muhammadu Buhari has always been a violent, a jihadist, a fanatic of Islam. But this video, is very clear. We'll now know who is actually feeding the youths in the north for that violence. Because what is exactly happening is this man is indirectly inciting our youths in the north. If anything were to happen, if this election were to be rigged, we know the consequences. These guys will start killing the Igbos. There is no two ways about this. It happened in 2011. And if this man that we are paying salary every month will sit on the podium, cameras showing to his face, and he's telling the youth in the north that APC is actually a Christian party, that PDP is actually a Muslim party, right? Because obviously APC will win the election. Then they will now rig the election. And once they rig the election, it will trigger off violence, which will lead to the killings of people.
Well, we do not know for sure who will win the election. We don't know for sure which party will win the election, not until the election is conducted. But let me just ask you a final question now before we go. Do you fear that we might see violence in this election?
As long as the election is free and fair, as long as people are allowed to vote, as long as the president of the country does not use his team of instigators to now scuttle this change that we are about to experience in the country, I am seriously afraid that the same thing that happened in 2011 might happen. But I will assure you that we are collecting information. We are collecting every single speech. There is another volatile video released by a PDP governor. I can't recall the state now. I have that video clip where he was telling his listeners to kill any opposition, which is APC. This is the governor of a PDP state making that volatile statement in the course of campaign. So we have this information. All this information is out there. So Nigerians need to, forget about this sentiment and understand that this is our country. We still have that country, Nigeria. All right? And if this country will still hold, they should allow a peaceful election to take course. Whoever wins, as long as there is no rigging, whoever wins, we will all support the person.
All right, Tony Akabogo, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.
That was Tony Akabogo, a member of the Buhari Support Organization in the United Kingdom. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion on the Nigerian elections. Don't go away. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.